Hello, this is a clip from the latest edition of The Line, 18th of February 2024. Omar already called in, I think 2 weeks ago, to talk about slavery in the Bible. He put up, in my opinion, what was a very, very poor defense of the Bible. He claimed that, in fact, the overall takeaway of the message of the Bible is to love thy neighbor, etc., and that therefore slavery was not permitted within that context. And he's come on to accuse Matt of saying that his takeaway from the Bible is that slavery is not only permissible, but the takeaway from the Bible is to enslave people. Which, okay, let's have a listen and go through it and see where it goes.
Have had, and some of the things that you have said, which lead me to conclude that of your logical fallacy. So, for example, you've made numerous statements.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a logical fallacy. If he's saying that Matt has interpreted the Bible incorrectly, it would not be a logical fallacy. It would be a fallacy, which is a false argument or a bad conclusion drawn from the evidence. So he's wrong about that. It wouldn't be a logical fallacy.
So on slavery, right? And last week you took a call where you said, when I called, the takeaway message of the Bible is to enslave people. It's recorded on your show. That is what you said. And
no, actually, Matt didn't say that. Matt did not say that the takeaway message from the Bible is to enslave people. What Matt said is that it's not expressly forbidden and that there are rules laid down on how to enslave people, how to beat them, etc., etc., and that one could say that the Bible permits slavery, which, let's face it, is bad enough.
As I tried to explain to you, that there are numerous verses throughout the Bible which would reject that notion that it encourages people and promotes slavery. And you weren't letting me even explain. You were muting me and asking me loaded questions.
Okay, so I've muted you because I know how much you enjoy it. Here's the thing. All I was saying is that the Bible explicitly allows for slavery and never explicitly condemns slavery. Is there a verse you can point to that explicitly condemns slavery?
Is there a verse that I can point to that explicitly rejects or discourages slavery? Is that your question?
Condemns. That explicitly condemns slavery. Yes.
Yeah, so there's a couple of verses. So Exodus 21:16. Whoever's Exodus 21:16.
Okay.
Hello? Can you hear me? You're talking over me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I am talking over you because Exodus 21:16 doesn't mention slavery. Exodus 21:16 is about stealing people.
Okay. Whoever steals a man and sells him, and anyone found in possession of him, shall be put to death. Deuteronomy 23:15 through 16.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to mute you again because you don't seem to understand how a conversation goes on.
Yeah, that would be like if you kidnapped a free man and then passed him off as a slave and sold him. That would be forbidden. But slavery in certain circumstances is permissible. For example, if you conquer another people, you can take slaves, you can trade in them, and slaves are part of the economic system at that particular time. They could be bartered and traded the same way that goods could, but there were certain rules. What he's talking about is something completely different. If you steal a person and sell them is something different.
Pointed out, Exodus 21 verse 16 does not mention slavery and does not condemn slavery. I asked for verses that explicitly condemn slavery. That verse does not condemn slavery. It doesn't say that slavery is wrong. It doesn't say the institution is wrong. It doesn't say that there's anything at all wrong with owning people as property. What it says is, if you steal someone and sell them, that's not what slavery is. Slavery is not stealing someone.
Yeah, that could also be if you steal a slave off somebody in the same way that you might steal some goods. You steal the slave, pretend it's yours, and then fraudulently sell it. That law would specifically forbid that act.
Someone in selling them necessarily. Slavery is owning another person as property, which the Bible explicitly allows, that you can buy your slaves from the heathen that surround you, that they become your property, that you can beat and pass on to your children. Exodus 21:16 does not mention slavery directly or indirectly. And the very notion that you could steal a person reinforces the concept that people can be viewed as property, which could be stolen as well. So do you have another verse that you can use to say this other verse explicitly condemns slavery?
So sometimes I debate Muslims, and your answer reminded me of when a Muslim asked me, show me.
Okay, I'm going to mute you again.
No, Matt's answer was perfectly clear, a million times better than mine.
Again, because I don't give a flying fuck about your debates with Muslim or anything else. You are calling in to say that I'm wrong. And every single time we give you the opportunity to suggest that I'm wrong, you further show that I am correct and you are incorrect. And so I'm asking you, since your first attempt of Exodus 21:16 fails to explicitly condemn slavery, do you have another verse that you can point to that explicitly condemns slavery? We already know the answer is no.
You must not return an escaped slave to his master when he has run away to you. Indeed, he may live among you in any place.
Yeah. That also does not in any way condemn the institution of slavery. And even if you could find a verse, which you can't, because it does not exist in the Bible, that explicitly condemns slavery, now we would be in a position where one part of the Bible explicitly permits slavery and another part of the Bible explicitly condemns slavery. So now we would be in a position where the Bible contradicts itself from one place to another, and you would need a way to resolve that. But we don't need to get to that because you can't, because there is no point.
Let me talk, and you keep muting me.
You know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to ban you, Omar, because you
should, because I'm going to deal with you and I'm going to expose your lies.
You're not going to expose anything. You
lied last week when you said you.
No, I'm muting you again. You, Omar, are a lying cartoon who thinks you can call in and take over the show. You are an obnoxious, garbage thinker that I've already rejected on numerous occasions, but I gave you yet one more chance today. I gave you one more chance because all of us are aware that the Bible never expressly prohibits or condemns slavery. But you and the other people who are absolutely trying to redeem a garbage, disgusting book that is vile in every way, you are going to try to suggest that I've committed a logical fallacy. There is no logical fallacy. I read the fucking verses. There is no cherry picking. You're the one trying to cherry pick by saying, hey, I know this verse over here says you can own people as property, but this one over here says, if you find a runaway slave, don't return him. That has nothing to do with whether or not the Bible condemns or supports slavery. I'm going to return you to the queue, and you can sit there on hold for the rest of the show if you want and listen.
Okay, so that was fairly comprehensively dealt with. I should think we won't be hearing from Omar again on slavery. Why would any Christian want to call in and continually come back to the Old Testament, or in fact the whole of the Bible, on slavery? As I've said before, it's the one, well, there are many, but it's one of the really serious Achilles heel of Judaism and Christianity, this whole slavery thing. And I'm sure that if it wasn't for the fact that it was the 19th century before the bulk of Christians in the world finally twigged that actually slavery is immoral, even though the Bible seems to support it. And oh damn, it's a shame about Exodus, those verses in Exodus. What are we going to do? It's not like we can airbrush that out of the text. It's too late. The cat's out of the bag. Nobody's ever going to be able to cover that one up in the same way that, for example, in Orwell's 1984, Smith was going back through all the old newspapers and airbrushing out all the, certain stories and changing history. But no, it's too late. It's already done. Everybody knows. Anybody who knows anything about the Bible, seriously speaking, knows that the Bible validates slavery as a practice. And let's say Jesus was walking around and he had a ministry and he was going around preaching. There would have been slaves everywhere in all the sort of households. All the merchants, etc., had slaves. And he really just never touched on it. He never really obviously considered that slavery was a serious issue, yet he was preaching turn the other cheek, love thy neighbor, etc., etc. But he was saying absolutely nothing at all about maybe we should sort out this slavery business. It's not really a good thing. In fact, it was the absolute worst thing about society, possibly in those days, that you could own human beings and trade in them. It was probably the absolute worst thing, and Jesus completely ignored it, and the Old Testament validated it as a practice and in law. Okay, that's enough from me. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.